Hello and welcome to Mike Ferry TV. We are interviewing today a very unique character, one of my heroes, and he's a hero for a lot of reasons, and I'll express that to you in a few minutes. But let's welcome Mr. Maverick Malech, his beautiful wife Karen, and they live in a terrible place. It's just sad to even have to say it out loud. They live in the state of Hawaii, and they've been there for 7 years, and you can see by the smile on Maverick's face that he's suffering a lot all the time.
It's terrible, yeah.
So which island do you guys live on now?
We're on the Hawaii island, the big island, and as it was known. So if you were to look at a map of Hawaii, we're the most southern of all the islands.
How did you pick that island as a place for you and Karen to live?
We had traveled to all the islands on vacation, and we decided at one point that it's always been my dream to want to actually live in Hawaii. And so we, traveling around, and we determined that the Big Island was the best suit for us. And it, small town, good community. It's on the west side, so we get to see the sunsets. The water is beautiful. So it's not overcrowded. It's just a beautiful place to live. It's paradise.
Good for you.
Yeah.
What is the population of the island that you're on?
250,000, but most of them are on the other side.
Okay. So is it a pretty active real estate market? Very
active. We have roughly 1,600 sales on my on my side of the island each year. We have roughly 900 real estate agents.
So say how many transactions again, please?
1,600.
And with 900 agents.
900 agents. So
most of the agents are doing between 0 and less transactions a year.
That is correct.
That's interesting. So what is the, you hear about island fever because, as you know, Samir and I had a home in Maui for a long time, and I loved it. She loved it. But after about 10 days, she was driving herself crazy, driving around the island and wanted to come back to the mainland.
Yeah.
The island, what's that like?
It's different visiting versus actually living here, because living here, we know we're not going back, to the mainland. And so you just start to learn to accept living here and dealing with the fact that you are, 2,600 miles from the nearest state, and you just accept things that are not here, like, certain shopping and restaurants and so forth. They're just not here. But during COVID, it was awesome because we were kind of isolated to ourselves, and so it actually worked out pretty well.
So you could have picked probably not a better spot to be isolated for that length of time than where you guys were that whole time.
Yeah, it was. We love the outdoors, and so it was COVID did not bother us.
So you're also an athlete. You're a marathon and ultra marathon participant. They have that big giant triathlon in Hawaii. Is that something you've participated in?
Yes, I've actually. So the Ironman World Championship, I've completed 3 times.
Good. And tell us, because I have a couple other friends that have competed in it. The format of this.
So it's a 2.4 mile ocean swim, followed by a 112 mile bike ride, and then it's 26.2 a marathon run afterwards. It's all done within a specific time with cutoffs. But in order to get here, you have to qualify by doing another Ironman or half Ironman somewhere else in the U.S. or actually in the world. So it's very competitive to get here.
So do they give you a couple of days rest between each event?
No, it's time limited. So if you don't finish, you're cut off.
Yeah.
And so it's all done within one day. We got actually 17 hours from start to finish. And after 17 hours, they cut it off.
That's incredible. Good for you. I mean,
thank you.
That's a real physical, mental, emotional feat, which makes selling real estate kind of easy in comparison.
Yeah, I always for the last, I've been now racing, for 25 years. And I always look at real estate as an endurance. It's not short, quick things. It's an endurance. And so someone says, they have a hard time prospecting for 3 hours. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. 3 hours is nothing.
Yeah, 3 hours goes by like that if you're active participating. That's for sure.
That's right. That's right.
How long have we known each other?
So it's been a long time, since 1990.
Okay.
Back when I had black hair, thick black hair. But it was interesting because I was new to the business, and in typical broker training, I was told, here's your desk, here's a phone and a phone book, good luck. And so I didn't know what to do. And a young lady in my office came by and said, hey, why don't you come door knocking with me? And I said, sure. And so we went out door knocking. She said, you take this side, I'll take that side. And so we're out door knocking. I noticed about halfway down the block, she goes into a house. I finish my side of the street and I start coming back on her side. She comes out waving papers. And I said, what's that all about? She goes, oh, I just knocked on the door. I was using my script. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you had a script. And she goes, when do you plan on moving? And they said, well, funny that you asked. We plan on talking to agents really soon. So she went and she actually listed the house on the spot.
Wow.
And I said, how do you do that? And she goes, oh, some guy named Mike Ferry taught me. And I said, well, who is he and where is he and so forth? And so she said, oh, he's going to be speaking at the Modesto Convention Center with Floyd Wickman. And so we went like the next week or something. So her and I sat in the front row, went up and I talked to you afterwards and, loved what you had to say. And I said, this is for me. This young lady, Sue, gave me one of your cassette programs. And then I started going to events, action workshops, productivity schools, one-day events and so forth of yours in the Bay Area where I was living. And so I just started buying all your cassette programs, go to all the events. But then it wasn't until 1996 when I went to my first superstar retreat. And that's when I joined coaching.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So you've been a coaching client for a long time.
Long time, yeah. Yeah, I figured that last night that I've paid over $300,000 in coaching fees.
Yay, we need more people like you. Have you had a good return?
Yeah, I've made well over $10 million and I quit counting because now it's investments that I own and just it's not just the money that I made, but the people that I've met, the relationships that I've created. It's a great life. It's been a good life.
Well, today you and Karen sell real estate, but your primary for you personally is the coaching. How many clients do you coach?
I currently coach 36 people.
Okay, 36. So you have 36 people that are lucky to be coached by Mr. Maverick Malech. I know because you are an athlete and you're very, very disciplined, you sometimes see people from a little different perspective than maybe the average person because of your training that you've always been involved in. Do you have a couple common characteristics that you see in people that are, in most cases more successful than others in our wonderful, crazy business?
Yeah, that's a good question. A couple of things that come to mind, and we could probably come up with, a list of 10, 15, 20 things, but I just say for a few things. One is they participate.
Okay.
Okay. They show up for the coaching calls. They go to events. They have role play partners. They're maybe part of accountability or mastermind group. They go to events. They really participate and they're involved. I see when someone is not involved that is a concern for me because at some point they think they're going to do it on their own, or they're going to, the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, or, there's a magic formula that they're going to run off to. So yes. Participation is one. Second, I say they're highly competitive.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, highly competitive, but they actually hate losing more than they enjoy winning.
That is such a great, say that again, because that is a great.
So they're competitive, but they hate losing more than they enjoy winning. So if they're going to listing presentation and they don't get it, they're more upset about that one listing that they didn't get versus the other two that they took that week.
It's an interesting thought. So the ability to evaluate and figure out why you lost, that drives them crazy, but they have to go through the process so
Yeah.
they can win often.
Yeah. And then I say a third characteristic that I noticed is that they're always looking to upgrade. And it's not just, the clothes they wear or, the house that they're in, but it's upgrading their friends, where they go on vacation, how they live their life. They're constantly looking to upgrade. It's those who, don't do things or they go to the same vacation every year. They eat at the same restaurant. I guess we can call it, they're more versatile.
Yeah.
And, that to me, that is a common trait that I see with a lot of the top producers.
So I've written down for our viewers that are hopefully all taking notes, Maverick, I wrote down participate, competitive, and upgrade. And then I wrote a sentence behind each one. So that's really great advice.
Yeah.
I know doing the coaching that there are some frustrations that you experience. So I wrote down, what is the most common challenge that you face in trying to work and help agents move forward? Because there's many types of people and many challenges, but what do you see as being a more common?
We are, the only limitations we have on ourselves are the ones that we self-impose, or the ones we put on ourselves. We can do so much more than what we think we're capable of. And so I see that in the coaching clients, that they hold themselves back. There's a glass ceiling that they don't see, and they can do so much more than what they're actually accomplishing. Yeah. So for me, I see it as a coach, and I try to help them with that. But for me, that's frustrating. Also for them, frustrating, because they'll go and take a listing. Their goal is to take 2 listings for the month, for example. They take 2 listings this week, and all of a sudden they stop because they're overwhelmed with those 2 listings. But they could do that they could do that every week if they wanted to. Sure. So
it's interesting that you say it that way, because I agree. Almost all limitations are self-imposed.
Yeah.
I will always kid that the agents that get to watch this interview with you are lucky agents, and their broker's not telling them, hold your production down, keep your production down. Those words are never spoken,
Yeah.
But it's what goes on in here that comes out of here. So
that's correct. And it's like, I tell people that have, done Ironmans and triathlons and everything, and they'll go, oh, I could do one. And I'll say, no, you can't. And they go, well, why do you say that? I go, because if you could, you would have.
That's right.
And you're not done it. So you're not going to go do it. So don't try to kid yourself that you think you could go do it. Just go do it. Don't,
I tell you, that Nike ad, just do it.
Yeah.
Applies every day. So you've got a group of 10 or 12 agents that have come to Hawaii, and you've agreed to meet with them for 30, 40 minutes and share a couple of what you would call key principles to help them succeed. What ideas would you share if they really want to move their business forward?
I would say, first of all, they need to set a goal for what they want to accomplish.
Okay.
Whatever that may be, they need to set a goal. When I start out a race, I have a goal. Obviously finishing the race, but I set a time, right? I determine how fast I can do this race and when I want to finish it. And so I've never, every race that I've started, I've always finished. I've never stopped. And I've had bloody legs. I've had pretty bad injuries during the races. I've had pulled muscles. I had torn muscles, but it never stopped. So the first thing I say is you need to set a goal and then set action steps in place so that along the way, the goal is you want to finish and hit the goal, but at the same time, you need to have measurements along the way to make sure that you're on track to finish that goal.
Sure. Which is critically important. Folks understand that we're talking to a world-class athlete today, and I'm just the opposite of that. We do a little 3-mile walk every morning, and I've done it for about 160 straight days, which for me is like a record. And thank you. And of course, as you get a little bit more aged, it's a little bit more challenging. So what I do is I will pick a spot down so far away from me that I say, I'm just going to make sure I get to that spot.
Yeah.
And then when I go, okay, now let's pick the next spot. And then, finally I'm picking the spot where the car is parked, which is a little celebration. So here's an off the wall question. 2.5 mile swim in the ocean. How long does that take?
For the pros, they do it in an hour or less. For me, it was an hour and 40 minutes.
That's a long time in the ocean. And of course, you have a beautiful ocean all around you. How long does the 120-mile bike ride take?
So the 112-mile bike is, again, the pros do it, super fast, but for me, it's 5 hours. So,
and do you stop and rest? Do you stop water? Do you just keep going?
No, you just keep going. It was interesting. The first time I did it, the World Championship, I got stung by a bee inside my ear.
Oh,
about mile 60, and so I couldn't get the stinger out, and so I finished the rest of the 50-something miles with the stinger in my ear. That was fun.
Yeah.
No, it's 5 hours for me. The first time I did it, we had really strong winds. It was brutal. It took me a little over 7 hours to do the bike ride.
And then how long does it take? I don't like to drive a car 26 miles. You're running 26. How long does that take you?
For the run, the goal again, I'm a big guy, so I played college football. I'm not a runner per se. So it'd take me 5 hours to do the marathon.
So the whole thing is a very involved, serious day.
It is. It's for me, my best time was 13 hours, 59 minutes and 51 seconds. Still under 14 hours.
That's a big accomplishment. Well, I'm hoping, Maverick, that we promote Mike Ferry TV each week, and I'm hoping that everybody really pays attention. I took a whole page of notes on what you've said so far. This is going to play for 7 days during the week it be played, and I hope that everybody watches it 2 or 3 times, because if you're not inspired by this young guy right here on the screen with me, then there's something wrong with us, because every time I'm around Maverick, I'm inspired, and especially with where he lives, how he lives, the lifestyle, the discipline, which is the name of the game. So on behalf of all of our viewers, I want to say thank you again for being with us. Thanks for being a great coach. Thanks for being a great agent. And most importantly, thanks for being a longtime friend.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. I really appreciate it. And I told you once, I'll tell you again, is that, you had your 3 mentors. Well, you actually had more, but you always talk about your 3 mentors, in your early stages of your career and your life. And I told you before, I'll tell you again, you're one of my mentors, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you a lot. We'll see you very soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.